Again.
Good.
All right, everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of Breathesober Transformations. My name is Hamza. I am the coach and founder, and today I have a very, very special guest with me. His name is Nikolai. Nikolai has an incredible story that we are going to hear about today. And I just want to say that in all of my years of being a sobriety and breathwork coach, I don't think I've ever come across a transformation quite like this. So this one is truly special. Nikolai joined us in I think about 3 months ago in July, and now we're in October. So but I'm super excited to get into this. So Nikolai, welcome to this episode of Breathe Sober Transformations. How are you?
Good. Thank you, Hamza.
Amazing, amazing. So, Nikolai, for all of the people that are watching, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and what your life was like before you found Breathe Sober?
Yeah. Essentially, I'm from Toronto. Right now, I'm actually living in the beautiful country of Dominican Republic, Punta, and I'll touch a little bit on that later because this is now my safe space. But I basically grew up in Toronto. Was born in Guyana, but grew up in Toronto, Mississauga. Went to university at Waterloo. And I think the roots of my problem kind of started, all the way back when I was going to festivals and things like that while at university. Huge consumption of alcohol all the time. And then I ended up meeting this group of friends that would they wanted same things I wanted at the time, which were just very, very bad things for my body and my health. I started drinking a
Yeah,
whole lot more, um, and since then I knew something was off, but I couldn't really do anything about it. Right,
yeah.
so I just decided to myself, I'm going to need some help. And after years and years, I losing my job, not being able to get steady money. It took like my grandmother had passed away a couple of weeks before I came down here to the Dominican, and my parents had to that they're living here. They had to come up to visit for the funeral. And in all honesty, I don't think if like these moments didn't happen and they didn't see me in that depleted state that I was, I would probably not even be sitting here today. I'd still be messed up in that group and completely ruining my life. But
Wow.
yeah, I was able to just cut ties with Toronto, move down here, try to focus on myself, and that's when I found Hamza and Breathe Sober. And since then it's been like you said, like a complete 360-degree turnaround,
Yeah, yeah. Well,
mentally, spiritually, everything.
we'll definitely get into that. Just for, our audience here, I want to clarify. So, you had been, I guess, drinking regularly, but it got heavier over the last several years when you met your group of friends, and it kind of what, like, consumed your life in the
Yeah,
sense
it's
that
snowballed.
that's
Yeah, it.
okay.
If you want me to elaborate a little bit more, basically I was I was in the party scene, so I was doing all sorts of things I shouldn't have been doing on a regular basis. It used to just be on the weekends, and then
Right.
all of a sudden it started to be during the week. It started to affect my job. I started to bring bottles of alcohol to work because I was so high and hinged all the time that I was using the alcohol to calm me down and to bring me back down level, which is absolutely insane because it's just another drug. I
Yeah.
I, I was even at a point where I passed out at lunch on my job in the car, and the head director of HR, came outside with somebody else, knocked on the window, and found me. And they were like, "What the hell, you okay, man?" Like, and of course, I reeked of alcohol and everything, and that's probably one of the reasons why I got fired for sure. So it was gotten to a point where I couldn't control it in my life. I had no any problem I had, didn't matter who, what, where, when, I would solve it with, let's just go get that bottle from the LCBO first, and we'll start there.
And then
And
deal with the
that,
problem.
yeah,
Yeah,
and then deal with the problem. That's just like something that's a complete no-no right now. But
I remember that all too well. So, okay, I think we have a clear idea. It was, essentially taken over your life. You got fired because of it. You lost a lot of, patience, peace, and,
money
overall
too, man,
just
everything. Yeah.
not in a good place. Okay. So you mentioned that, you came down to the Dominican and you kind of saw that's when you came across Breathe Sober. So what stood out for you among thousands of options that are available now, especially with online programs. Because I see like tons and tons and tons of coaches, which is great. Like it's great for the industry and for just awareness that hey, this is a thing. But what stood out for you for Breathe Sober?
For me, it was just, it seemed like you were a genuine person, somebody who had been through the same things that I had. That was one really, really important thing. The second important thing for me too was I didn't want to feel like I was in an AA meeting all the time, like some sort of alcoholic anonymous, and I got to get a chip. And to me, like my brain does not work that way, right? And another thing that I like too about it is it's the approach to this is deeply rooted in science and spirituality, which I believe are they're like this. They intertwine very heavily, and the more we prove with science, the more we can understand our spirituality because it's there. Like I remember actually watching a few of these exact same interviews, right? And there was one in particular where you had mentioned something about our electromagnetic field, and I was just like, this guy understands it. He's felt the pain, number one, and number two, he's exhausted so much of his time, effort, and energy to better explaining what you're feeling in the moment, bringing that out of you too. That's actually something, Hamza, I don't think I ever told you this, but it's very easy to talk to you, and you really kind of bring out what we have on the inside, right?
Yeah.
Of course, this was only a guess at the beginning, but this was something that was also really, really important to me. Like I said, I couldn't have somebody that was just doctoring me all the time, right? So it seemed like, when I started texting you on WhatsApp and Instagram and stuff, it seemed like that is exactly what I would have gotten out of this program. And I honestly got way more than I expected from you and from the community. I cannot lie, man. I can't even see my life without it. But I will stop there for now. It's just thank you so much for everything so far, man.
Listen, whatever you got back from the community is a direct correspondence and reflection of what you put in. So don't thank me, thank yourself. And going back to that part about bringing stuff out of people, look, that's the quality of a coach. That's what coaches do, right? Because then you're just giving advice. You know what I mean? Your friends can give you advice.
That's true.
So like, the value in what I do is what you're talking about, which is getting you to deeply understand what is and what isn't and how to move through it. So, okay, fantastic. Okay, so I know, you found us, and then we had a call, and then you ended up joining us. So walk us through starting from like the first week on, what changes did you notice? What did you, it's one thing to have an idea of, okay, this is what it's gonna be, and it's another thing when you actually get into it. So walk us through that transition and sort of what happened after you joined.
Yeah, for sure. I just want to preface this too by saying, like, when I finally got the nerve to call you and message you when we talked, it was literally right before that where I had stolen 2 bottles of rum and drank it before 9:30 in the morning, and ended up like 3 days before, ended up on my parents' balcony, with just my boxers lying down, completely sloshed, just going, what the hell am I doing with my life? Help. I asked if my parents were going to actually go and take me to the hospital. I said, no, I just need to lie down, put me inside. And then that's when I made the decision, what, we need to change. And the first thing, Hamza, you said to me was, okay, don't expect to change the whole world in a day, go slow and start to pull things out of your brain. So I started to do the journaling, I started to do the readings, I started to actually just go through everything and all the courses that you have, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. And then over the first couple of weeks, I know we met like 3-4 times once a week. And through that period, that was when I started to just absorb the programming, the phase 1, phase 2. And I learned from myself that, I'm carrying a lot more baggage, I'm carrying a lot more emotions, I'm carrying a lot more of everything that I thought I had just basically thrown away because alcohol had sucked me dry from all these things. But it's still there. That was the main thing, the me that I wanted to be, the me that was previous, the future me that wants to be successful, that wants to have a good, positive life. That all of that was still there. I just had to draw him out. So I put him on paper. I held that new person to certain responsibilities. I started to build the habits. You talked about at the beginning just trying 3 habits every single day. And I challenged myself to do 5 because I said, you know what, if I'm able to pull my life away from everybody and everything and come down here to make a change, then I should try to prove to myself that I could change. So I built myself up to that 5 habits. I put myself in, after I think it was week 4, I put myself into a 30-day challenge, where every morning I woke up, went to the beach and did the meditation. That's something, I haven't actually mentioned that yet at all in the call, but that's something that's, to me, the breath work and the meditation is so important for finding yourself. And I had a hard time starting that up. But it was, once I kind of got it started, it was just like, it was very refreshing and revealing to me how much I needed it. And the other
Yeah.
thing too that I wasn't really getting at all was, and it sounds silly, but it was sleep. And I kid you not, I am never going back to not having 8 hours of sleep. That is just this bottom line. Is there anything else? I'm never going back on that because it feels so good. It feels so refreshing. And I completely learned how to rejig my body, change like my circadian rhythm to make it what I want it to be again, starting from scratch by just following the simple tips, the journaling, the making those small micro habits, the doing the little bit walks, going to the gym sometimes, building back your schedule, building back the building blocks of myself slowly. I think that's what was really, really important at the beginning. I might not have been able to do all of the things every single day. I was still thinking about alcohol in those times too. Like I remember, the people in my life were still trying to get at me. I still felt guilty for what I did, just leaving all of them. I felt guilty for where I left them, where I left myself. I felt like I owed it to other people, to bring them along this journey with me. But you really cannot control people. That's another thing that I learned from this. You can only really work on yourself, your energy, the energy you put out, what you want to do every day. And the thing is, you got to build on what you've done previously the day before. So I literally think of our program, Hamza, as like I've been walking up this like stairway to heaven kind of thing. And every step I take, it's like a whole new world kind of just pops up at every step. And I get to, if I want to stay on this step right here for a little bit, enjoy it, I can, I should, I will, I'll do, as long as I want to appreciate the moment. That's another thing that I have not done in a very long time. I've never been able to appreciate the process. And I'm getting that full here, following your lead, following this, even the missteps, some of the things I remember you telling me, like, if you're feeling like this and you want to do,
you cut out just for like 5 seconds.
Oh, okay. The last thing, I think it was, okay. You had told me one last thing here about, it's okay to not feel perfect every day. That pink cloud, sometimes it's gonna pop. And when that happened a couple of times, the first time it happened, I was really upset with myself. But as it went on, it's like I'm learning again. Life is not perfect. Life is not just rainbows and sunshine. Like life has ups and downs, and only a level person can stay even keel and deal with the ups and downs. You don't need to go too high. You don't need to go too low. That was the alcohol and the drugs talking. So that, to me, it really cleared and centered my mind and made me able to accept and be in myself.
I love that. I absolutely love that. So, in a nutshell, what you're describing is within 2 or 3 months, you were able to go from a very dark place in your life, and just like you described, it feels like a stairway to heaven, where each step is enlightening you more and more. See, this is what I'm talking about. We haven't even touched on like the dark, deep stuff. You know what I mean? Like just on a high level, it seems like such a remarkable, like it's night and day. You're not living the same life that you were when you started, and all it took was, we're at literally 3 months right now, and we have another 9 more months to go, right? So that I love that. What was I know there were several, but if you had to pick one, what was the exact moment when it hit you that holy shit, it's over, I'm through to the other side? and I'm good. Like, what was that? What was that moment like? When did you feel that?
uh, that would have been, I think, the second the second time I did the meditation on Sunday, and I remember this because Dr. Sarah was there too, and she had said something before. She went before me when I did a round of questions and asked around, and like I had experienced this serious tingling feeling, and like all of these like colors in behind my eyes that were like seemed so magical. And I actually don't, when I get nervous, I stop breathing, basically.
Stop
So
breathing?
my, like literally, it's like you can't
Yeah.
even hear me breathe. Normally, like I breathe really heavily usually, but normally if I get nervous or something, and this is also something that I found out while I was doing this program too, right? One of my biggest problems is I don't even give myself the space to breathe. And then if you're not even oxygenating your cells or anything, how are you going to think? How are you
Yeah.
going to make a decision, fight or flight mode even, right? So and it was after that one meditation session I was able to breathe, and then we do the slow breathing at the end. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, wait, I am not coaching myself to breathe right now. I'm just rhythmically moving, and it's coming naturally. And you asked the question, like, how did that feel for you? And like literally, it was like a spark. I was like, wait, I I am doing this. Not I can do this. I am doing this. Holy shit! This is happening. So that was like I don't think I'll ever forget that moment. And it wasn't even really anything big, but it was more just like definitely an epiphany moment for me because I've
I
never
love it.
really felt that way.
I love it. I mean, that was I feel like a spiritual awakening moment for you. I remember that call and that breathwork class. I mean, to be fair, that was a very special breathwork class. So and every Sunday we do this. There's new faces every time, and it's like it's all happening in real time. Like people are discovering themselves in real time. It's so amazing. Look, I want to switch gears for a second because for all those who are watching, I'm sure there are several who have done 3 months, 6 months, a year, different levels. Previously, even myself, I did 9 months once and then relapsed badly. And the big question that I know our audience has is not how to stop drinking. It's more, how do I stay sober? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because life keeps coming at you, especially when you remove the one crutch that you had where you were numbing yourself and the solution to all of your problems was let me just have a drink and think about it. But, nothing really happened after that. So naturally, when alcohol is no longer there, you know, the one big difference, because I experienced this myself with AA, therapy, reading books, um, everything would motivate me, would put, wind in my sails. And I'd be like, all
Mm-hmm.
right, let's go. Day one, and then day two, and then day three, and fucking day four. It's like, by day five, you're like, why was I doing this again? God damn it. That. The difference between breathe sober and white knuckling, right? That's what I'm talking about. And the difference here is you dealt with a lot of very real challenges that would typically, if you were white knuckling it, in those moments, you would have been like, okay, I can't. Specifically, what I remember, number one is, just for context, Nikolai lives on a very nice resort in the Dominican Republic. His dad works there, so that's where he lives. What that means is Nikolai is living in temptation all the time. One of those events, and I'll let you tell the story, but one of those events were Nikolai's dad had a group of investors, potential investors, that Nikolai had to show around. These people are on vacation, thinking of making an investment. What happened that day? Tell us.
Oh man, from the inception when I got up to the lobby, just to go on the resort, you need to have a band, right? And because my dad knows people, we get the exclusive premium band on here, which means premium alcohol. Let's just put that out there first, right? And as soon as I walk in, there's two glasses of champagne. These guys are holding, hey guys, you want this? And I already had like in the lobby had to make a decision. So I take the glasses, give them to my dad and his friend, and I said, hey guys, you guys gotta handle this for me, okay? Because it's only like 11 o'clock. Then we have to go to the pool, and there's like literally almost 30 of these people. We go to the pool, half of them are already in the pool drinking, and I'm passing around like big, those the Stanley cups, getting them filled for people. And eventually we had to end up going to this foam party. Yeah, the big Stanley cup. We end up going to this foam party where they literally have people walking around with water guns, squirting alcohol in your mouth with a big EDM DJ and a big pool where they pull foam on you and everybody's partying and having fun and dancing and all that. And the whole time I'm thinking to myself, at the beginning at least, why the hell did I put myself into this? And then I thought deeper and I was like, I used some of the things that you had taught me at the beginning, that the quick reset, the seeing, like you said, why am I doing this, right? And then I thought to myself, could I, in these moments, be myself? Because that's one thing that I wanted from alcohol, is I thought I needed alcohol to be myself. Okay, was able to do that. Number two, could I have fun? That's another thing I thought I needed alcohol to. I thought everything was boring, life sucked without alcohol. Every time I came off of work, going to work, everything, hanging out with people, we're buying a bottle first. I was able to do that. The last thing too was stringing life together, no matter how high it got. I mean, I had a friend, like his daughter was there. She got up on my back and got squirted alcohol into her mouth. And I'm like, normally it would have been my turn next after that. But I'm like, can I not just be content and just enjoy the moment? Drake came on in the background and I'm singing Drake with everybody, but I'm the only one that actually remembers lyrics. And that moment dawned on me and I'm like, hey, actually, you know what? I think I like doing the events that I used to do drunk as hell, being sober, because I have my mind. I'm able to like myself. I'm able to make friends. I'm able to string conversations together. I'm still able to have a good time and remember it. So it was just like that. I guess that was another epiphany moment, but it was more like, hey man, if I
practical epiphany.
Practical epiphany. I was like, if I could continue doing this, like, I think I'm gonna have a lot more fun than I've had with this as my crux, with this as my answer to everything. Because like now I can actually get an answer if I need one. It doesn't always have to be this bottle. So
I just want to point out, like, holy shit, man, like as you're telling me this, I can just visualize each and every moment. And this is not over. This is still around 1 o'clock. So there's a whole day that we'll talk about. But I just want to point out one thing here. To everybody that's watching, what is the number one fear that comes to your mind when you think about stopping drinking? I'll just pause here for a second. I'll let you think. I guarantee you, one of them is, how am I going to go on vacation? How am I going to have fun? How am I going to socialize? I will be so tempted. I don't think it's possible. And then what happens? Then you tell yourself, well, what's the point in this anyway? And nothing changes, right? I just want to highlight that, we think that it's some big impossible thing to change ourselves, but it's not. This is happening in 6 to 7 weeks. Okay? 6 to 7 weeks. Like, this was around month 2, not month 3 that you were dealing with this. But anyways, so then after the pool, there was a catamaran, a dinner, more socializing, right? Scuba diving. You had to do all of this stuff, right? And it wasn't just once. Like, yeah, sure, sometimes you can make a fluke and get away with it, but it happened again and again and again, right? Then something else happened that just literally like blew me to smithereens. And I remember like walking away from our call, going up to Jackie, and like she was like, what's going on with you? And I'm like, yo, you have no idea. You have no freaking idea like what we're doing in here. Like, this is like beyond my wildest expectations. Like, when you and I decided to do something and help, anyways. And that is when you had to go back to Toronto. So from what we know so far in this story, you left Toronto to come to Dominican to work on yourself. You left behind all of your friends, which included a very special person in your life who had been there for a long time. Now, forgive me, but I feel for context, we have to share. This was the person that you had been your partner for 4 years, a 4 year long relationship. And you had recognized that the relationship is dysfunctional, but you stayed. And you stayed and you stayed and you stayed a few months past that moment when you had kind of realized that, hey, maybe this is not it for me. Walk me through sort of, because this happens a lot. I talk to a lot of people who are in bad relationships that are no longer serving them, do not see a way out, especially if you are a woman and you have kids. It's way more complicated, right? Right now we're talking about a dude. Okay, it's different. But still, emotions are real, feelings are real, feeling trapped is real, feeling like you don't have a way out is real, and having to do the same thing over and over, despite knowing it's no longer good for you, is real. All of these things cause damage beyond your awareness. This is happening on your subconscious level. And that pain is essentially the biggest obstacle in people being able to see a version of their life without alcohol or with that person or what have you. And then you had to go to Toronto, where and by some accident, where you had to go and you had to be physically present there for something. Walk me through that whole thing, like what you went through and what you had to deal with and how you managed that whole situation.
Yeah, honestly, like leading up to it too, like you said, like I held a lot of guilt for this relationship because I felt like, it was a major part of me that messed up the relationship. I even thought at one point before this that, this person, I want her to have my kids. So in my head, I'm like, I have to fix this because this is the love of my life, But like I said, if you cannot do something, for yourself first and have yourself, and the other person's not willing to give you that time and that space, or even when they do, like it's still representing that dysfunction that your gut doesn't like or doesn't feel is resonating correctly with you. Like you've got to be able to take back control from that person. And I think what was happening was, at least in my case, we had certain control over each other that was just not good. I was not able to change this person's circumstances for the better, and they were not able to change my circumstances for the better. But we believed that together we could conquer everything, we could do anything, and the cycle just continued to repeat. So when I went there, I had to basically say to myself, do I want closure? Do I need closure? And I went back to my, the Hamza's teachings from the beginning, and I meditated on it. I wrote things down. I did a 7 why exercise multiple times, and I decided that I did need to talk to her on this because, when I left, it was very abrupt. So I basically kind of had, I didn't really tell her anything about this, didn't tell her I was coming down here to change my life, none of that stuff. And, what I found out from that whole experience was like, we, as people, we need to respect ourselves more than anything else, because no matter what, someone's always going to have an opinion on you, or an opinion on a situation, or an opinion on a relationship. It goes just as far as that, whether it's friends, boyfriend, girlfriend, no matter what, they're always going to have an opinion, and that has to stay theirs. And it may or may not affect yours, but in all reality, you're the one that needs to make the decisions for yourself and for the people you're protecting. Like I know, Hamza, you mentioned people with kids. It's like, you're to them, to your kids, you're probably like their rock. So if you're not steady and you're being changed and you're being influenced, that's something that they're going to learn, they're going to pick up and then take that onto their relationship. So you have to be strong for yourself and for others. And that's basically what I tried to do. I tried to just be strong, remember what exactly I'm trying to do for my life here. What do I want out of my life? Like it doesn't matter if I thought this person was the best thing since sliced bread in the world for me. If this has gone wrong and I need to change, and their opinions are different on how I need to change, and there's control situations going on, and now I have to change a certain way, I don't think I want that, because it's it's for me, right? So that was basically my big epiphany on the trip was, no matter how much we try to talk this through, I would rather, be amicable about it. We could be friends, whatever. The only thing is, I am changing my life for me, and if
Yeah.
certain pieces don't fit in my life because of that, that's not people fall off and in and out of your life all the time. People go through life like phases. So it's more important for me to focus on my own phase, and my next phase is with myself,
Yeah.
because otherwise I wouldn't be able to love myself, right?
You just said something very important, loving yourself. So far what we've covered is over 3 months, you walked away from a bad relationship, a negative influence on your life that was part and parcel with the biggest problem of your life. You walked away from the biggest problem of your life. You left alcohol and everything behind, that entire lifestyle behind, and now you are living a completely different life. So tell us about how you have fallen in love with yourself and your life, and what advice you have for anyone that might be watching this and on the fence about whether or not I should make an investment. Because let's be real, there is, a financial investment, an investment of your energy, an investment of your time. Without these three things, you need all three. You can't just pay for the program and then not do anything, right? So walk us through what life is like now.
Yeah, I life right now is like, one thing that's really stuck with me through this whole journey, and something that you had told me at the beginning is, approach things with curiosity, not blame. That's really stuck with me because, it's like you said, it's you have to put things in to get things out. And, on top of, anything with finances, it's really the time and the effort. And I never wanted to put the time into anything. I always wanted it quick. I would always, let's just ask ChatGPT, let's just Google it. I didn't want to just figure it out myself. And I learned from this a lot of patience. I used to be a very patient person. It's definitely coming back. I'm able now to, plan my days, my weeks. I'm able to start taking courses again, learning. I'm able to read more books, schedule it properly. Like before, even when I was working, I would give myself such short timelines, because another thing I found out about myself is I strive under pressure, but that doesn't mean I need to put myself under pressure all the time. So now I can actually schedule time for myself into my day and not feel bad about it at all. Because at the end of the day, I know I need this time to love myself, so I'm going to take it. And that's really, really important. I think that's something that you come out of this program with is, learning to carve a piece of yourself, hold it dear to you, and keep it and grow it and nurture it and make sure that that's the thing that you put your number one priority towards, not your job that you're working for somebody else for. Unfortunately, I don't want to really say it like this, but like not your partner, not your kids. Like they will see you as you once you see you as you, and they will love you for it. That's something I think a lot of people are afraid of.
Yes, that's what most people miss out when I say, hey, you can't do this for your kids. They're like, what? The kids are my life. But hang on a minute, let me explain. Whatever you think you're going to do for your kids, if you do it for yourself, they will be twice as better off. You know what I mean?
Yes,
So
exactly.
that's by default, right? So that's why we say just focus on yourself, because everything else and everyone else in your life that loves you, that cares about you, very important, will be there. Will be there, and
Yes.
it will be even better. Man, I don't even know what to say, to be honest. Like for me personally, I did this, created this because I'm not okay with the way the world is right now. And I feel like that is the big problem. Everybody's stressed out. Everybody's got issues. Everybody's using something to cope with life, whether it's alcohol. Alcohol just happens to be the number one choice because, it gets passed down from generations. It's everywhere, it's easily accessible, and most people don't care if you are having a bit too much fun most of the time. You replace that, alcohol, weed, food, shopping, whatever,
Yeah.
right? Everybody has a DOC, a drug of choice. And that's the big problem. Everybody is living, or most people, I would say, not everybody, but that survival lifestyle. Surviving, 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 surviving. I want to take the same people and take them from surviving to thriving. Would you say that you are now thriving?
Yeah, man. I absolutely, I love how I think. I love the way I move now. The approaching that's what just keeps coming back to me. Approaching things with curiosity, like that is so important. Like things that usually in front of me seem like such tall mountains to climb. Like I want a piece of that mountain. I want to say, hey, wait, is it really going to take 9 days? Also, for this time, I'm going to be able to do this. Oh, and by this, oh man, like it just changes so much in my brain, and it makes me want to turn my gears forward. Before, I think, like to your point, when you have that drug of choice and you're able to say literally block the entire world out and just do that thing and everything's going to be all right, like that sort of approach, that's not how the world works. And that's why people get stuck, because now you've just blocked out everything good and bad. You got to take the good with the bad, you know and you got to be able to build on it. You got to have it not really mess with your internal compass, because as you build that, that's to me, that's the only way you can really thrive in this world, is knowing yourself, where you're supposed to point, because you can always learn something, right? But learning to trust yourself, learning to love yourself, be yourself around others, that's something that takes time, effort. And if you have to put some money towards it, I think that's okay. You should always bet on yourself first.
Yeah.
And then let the rest of the chips fall. And that's definitely
Absolutely.
something that, like, I will never be able to go back on, just because I know how important that is for me in my life, to bet on myself first, even if I'm wrong. Because not every genius, not everybody out there was right the first time. In fact, you learn more from your mistakes than you do sometimes from actually doing things right all the time. So you shouldn't be fearful of making mistakes. You shouldn't be fearful of misstepping and going out of your comfort zone, because that's sometimes where you find the most gold, to find out the truth about yourself. So that's another thing that I got to give credit to this program for, because that's something I lost as well. It was something that I thought I was really good at, that completely was foreign to me. So that's a real testament to basically a lot of the teachings that you're doing, Hamza, for sure.
Dude, thank you for believing in yourself, for betting on yourself. Um, you know, this is just incredible to see how you have completely, like, you're a different person now. And like I said, we still have 9 more months of transformation to go. So you are going to, like a, what is it, a butterfly? Caterpillar?
Yeah,
Yeah,
metamorphosis. That's
right.
right.
You're gonna go through a few more cycles of the death of your ego and then the rebirth of your soul, kind of thing. It's gonna be amazing. So look, man, thank you so much for joining me today, and a big thank you to everybody that is watching. Um, Speaking of everybody that is watching, so Nikolai is part of the Breathe Sober Reset program. It's 12 months of live coaching and transformation, accountability, detox, new habits, and a lot of fun. It is not an open invitation, in that I need to speak to you first, make sure that that our team and myself, that we can actually help you reach your goals. There's a lot that goes into that. So if you are curious about whether or not this is going to work for you, the best thing to do is click the link below in the description and book a call with myself and my team. Let's have an open conversation about where you are, where you want to be, and I will honestly tell you, based on your current situation, how this is going to work, whether it's going to work. It's going to work. But how is it going to work? It's going to work because so long as you have an open mind, and we talked about the merger of science and spirit, so you have to be open to that, and you have to lead with behavior. I don't want you to think too much, just do. So the link is below. I'd love to talk to you. We're in October now, so you have, where would you like to see yourself in 90 days from today? Because Nikolai here is 90 days on from, in the beginning, the version of him that we described. So the question to you is, where are you going to be in 90 days from now? You can either be in exactly the same place you are now, or you can grab the bull by the horns and become the person that you have always known you can be. All right, that is it. All right, thank you so much, Nikolai. Thank you, everybody else. Until next time, I will see you all. Take care.
Thanks, guys.